Hello and welcome to the weekly Shakeout with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Dobson.
And this is that section of your Run Club where you get to send in your questions and we will try and get to as many as possible. So just a quick reminder at the top of the show for those links and how to get in touch. It is, of course, by email at paula's.runclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk, by text +44 7564 747 914, and on all of the socials at Paula's Run Club. You can, of course, send in questions by YouTube as well. Please don't forget to watch on all of those and to share and to get people writing in and asking us those questions. So do you want to kick us off with the first of the questions this week, Tomo?
I certainly can. I've got a message here from Neil Goodgame. Benefits of cross-training is the title. Hi, I'm 51 and I really only started running seriously at the start of the pandemic back in 2020. I'm currently training for my 8th marathon in Chicago, and one thing I find very beneficial is cross-training, especially on an indoor bike using Zwift. I find at my age the recovery from the more intense running workouts can take longer and have an increased risk of injuries, whereas on the bike the recovery is a lot quicker. Cross-training on the bike, whether indoors or outdoors, can be very beneficial for runners, and having a controllable indoor trainer also means you can do structured workouts on it. Currently, my training is split about 70-30 between run and bike. It is also inevitable that at some point as a runner you will get injured, and if you can cross-train, you can maintain some degree of fitness. Totally agree. I actually got into indoor cycling after I got a stress fracture back in 2023 while training for Leeds Marathon. Maybe you should get a triathlete on your show to talk about the benefits of cross-training. Yes, we might just have someone for that. Loving the new podcast. Keep up the good work. Regards, Neil. Cross-training and your expertise,
cross-training
Paula.
and age as well. And it is absolutely something that we're going to cover in more depth as we go on. We do keep saying that, but in the main pod, we will have a section on how to basically age and have fun and keep getting the most out of your running. So that will be coming to you. And thanks for those tips, Neil, because you're absolutely right. Cross-training, invaluable. I think I used it when I was training professionally. I would have at least one training session in a week. Nordic ski was a big favourite of mine. And now I use a thing called a zero runner, which is basically an elliptical that allows you to move the pedals, so you're much closer to a running gait while on it, but it is of course non-impact. And in the warm weather, if you can get into some water, whether it's a lake, whether it's the sea, whether it's a swimming pool, and do a little bit of aqua jogging, that is a fantastic way to almost massage out your legs while you're getting a cardio workout, and you are still getting a cross-training benefit from that and helping the recovery process as well.
There's not a huge amount to add, because I always think of a line that my coach Alan, who had on a previous episode, had said: your heart doesn't know the activity you're doing, it just knows beats. And I think that's where you kind of mentally you're aware of what you're doing, whether it's cross training or physically running, but your heart doesn't, it just knows beats, and then your body knows the impact. And so it's almost like that variety is the spice of life. And I think keeping your body kind of robust to experience different physical movements, your heart rate's going to be the consistent mechanism of beats and cardiovascular improvement. So I think, there's other benefits to mentally kind of, keeping things fresh can also help mentally keep you inspired to keep exercising, because if you do too much of one thing, because for me one of the biggest issues with cross training is staring at a wall. A number of times I stared at your wall in your room with the Alter-G and you almost
kind of on it for you,
which made it worse for me. but it's like no one wants to see
Have
me
a
when
guess
they're
what that was there for.
To realise things were closer than they appeared.
No,
that's a rearview mirror joke.
Think about how I ran. What would I need to maybe work on controlling or try?
Oh, your head bob, right? Okay.
Yeah. So that's a little bit why that was there.
Okay. There was always the little details, isn't it, with you?
So if you could, I would have had it in front of the window if I could, because I've actually got a beautiful view out the window.
Yes.
But it's pushed into the corner so that the kids had enough room for their bunk bed in the other bit of the room that's squashed in. And so that's why the mirror was there, just to make it not feel as though you were literally staring against a wall.
Yeah. Which again, it's all the little things, because I think, without going off on a tangent about mental strength and cross training, I did the thing I liked about cross training was I liked the fact I could still exercise when I
Yeah.
couldn't because I was injured, but I also knew that if I could entertain my brain against a black canvas for an hour and a half, however long I was doing, that kind of I could use those kind of mental mind
Yeah.
games in the big wide world, because it would make an hour and a half running outside feel so much easier when I've stared at a wall for an hour and a half. It sounds a bit sadistic, and I think there's an element of running that is a bit like that. But for me, cross training is a very layered benefit to not just the actual
Definitely.
physical aspect, the mental
Mental
aspect,
strength.
the also the well-being of feeling like you're doing something when you can't, maintaining it. I mean, there's benefits galore which we should go into, and like
Yeah.
you said,
I mean, I can tell you a funny story. I know this should have gone in the other pod, but
That's fine.
flashback to 1996, and early in 1996, I had a little bit of a stress response to my shin. So I was in the pool in Charnwood, and I was thrashing out an exercise session there. I actually went to Leicester a couple of times with the wave machine. That was interesting, trying to do an aqua jogging session while the wave machine's going. Because this was before there were dedicated pools for elite athletes. So a lady swam past me, and she had a shower hat on, and she was like doing gentle swimming. And she looked at me and she said, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" And I was probably quite frustrated that I was having to do this cross training session instead of out running. So I just said, "I'm training for the Olympics." And she went up the other end of the pool, swam back really gently. And then she said to me, "I didn't know they had running in the water in the Olympics." And I was just like, okay, that put me back in my box, like, got rid
Yeah.
of some frustration. But the cross training is hugely invaluable, like I say, when you're not injured, to ward off injury as well, and just to get rid of that impact. So moving on to the next question, this is from Instagram. So thank you, Natasja, for sending in that question on Instagram. She is 2 months away from Chicago Marathon, trained for 15 weeks already, is an average runner preferring half marathon distance. And so far, her mileage is about 60k a week with 2 speed sessions, 1 easy run and 1 long run. And she wants advice, please. Can she swap 1 speed session for a little longer easy run in her training? And would that help her to build her endurance better and avoid injury? In the last couple of months building into Chicago, she is aiming for sub 4, Tomo.
Yeah, I think this is yes, in a nutshell, yes, that sounds like a smart thing to do. I think that there's a couple of things here that springs to mind. Is one, there's probably a nervousness when you get into a program or a way of doing things to deviate from that, especially when you get close to a race or a game or a goal. So I get the kind of nervousness around changing too much, because mentally we want to stick to what's familiar. But I definitely think in this case, as you get close to a marathon, reducing the speed work to 1 session and incorporating a longer run, I think actually is a good thing to do, and something I would actually do as part of my program naturally, because speed work, especially when you're under fatigue, there is a risk to running faster or stretching, the mechanically stretching things out when you are more tired going into a session runs a higher risk of niggles cropping up. So reducing that risk by doing that is a good thing. The extra long run, again, which is more, is going to have a direct, more a positive impact on the marathon, those longer runs. And long, slow running, one of the big benefits to running for longer but keeping it slow is you get a lot of elastic strength out of that. And what I mean by that is efficiency, your efficiency of movement. So your body likes the short stuff for efficiency, but it also likes the longer, slow stuff for the same reason. So I would say go for it. I would say that there is a logic to it in what you're asking, but also a training logic, injury logic. So I would say yes, once a week will be fine, and increasing those longer runs is or an extra run in the week would be, for me, I think is a good thing to do, and have confidence in it. Don't sort of second guess yourself in that sense, because I know that kind of mindset of not wanting to change too much. But that would be my take, Paula.
No, that was absolutely spot on, Tomo. And good luck, Natasja. Please let us know how you get on in Chicago. I think the only one proviso I would add is perhaps think about making that easier run off-road. So it works the endurance a little bit more and maximizes the kind of recovery part of that easy run, in terms of teaching your body to be more efficient and not having the impact during it while still training the endurance side of it. So good luck, Natasja, and thank you.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you very much. Joanne Bedingfield, next. By the way, thank you so much for rewriting. We are doing our best to get through them, and we try to be thorough with our answers. So I know lots of people are waiting to hopefully, but we would do our best to get through to as many people as we can. But this comes in from Joanne Beddingfield. Too hot to run. We may be a bit late for this, apologies, because it's cooled down a little bit, but still relevant because there's races going on all around the world. So even though we may have kind of gone over the hump of the hot weather in the UK, there's people running everywhere, and so it's being too hot to run is relevant wherever you are. And we know we've got Sydney Marathon coming up this weekend. Even I know it's their winter, but it tends to be still, I think, pretty hot. But wherever you are, hopefully this is still relevant, whatever time of year you are, depending on where you are. Hi, Tomo and Paula. I'm loving catching up with your podcast one holiday in Gran Canaria. Holidays are always a time I get to run more, which is great as I'm training for a 16-mile trail run in September, then the Great Scottish Run in October. Oh, fantastic. Done that race many times. May have won it a couple of times. Ooh, I don't know. But it's 32 degrees and even higher 20s at 7 a.m. How do you train in such heat? The temperatures just drain all your energy even before the trainers go on. Totally understand. Do you have any top tips to get through the hot miles? I'm not great at running on treadmills. Need to do a long run. So the cool gym doesn't seem the best option. Love the outdoors, but not in this heat. Thank you, Joe and Beddingfield from Huddersfield, West Yorkshire.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is tough, and I think you have to get your mind around the fact that what that heat is doing is adding an extra degree to your training effect. So times will not correlate to what they would be in cool, ideal temperatures, but it is still a great training effect. That said, you've kind of got to back up your body a bit more. So really pay lots and lots of attention to hydration. Actually, water isn't bad, but water's not best. If you can add some kind of hydration, there are lots on the market out there. If you can add something like that to your drink, that will really help you get through it. You go back to one of our previous episodes. Wendy from High Five came and gave us some great advice on the best thing for hydration. So I think try and get at least 500 mils of that, if not a litre, into you before you head out on a long run in hot temperatures. Yes, running in the morning or the evening is a better time to do. Don't go out in the middle of the day because that is the hardest time of the day to get out there and do that. Try and pick shady runs where you can. Not a bad idea if you're on a holiday in Gran Canaria. It's fairly easy. Finish at the beach, jump in the sea afterwards is a good way to kind of accelerate that recovery and give you something to psychologically look forward to through that. And I know it's on holiday and they probably do just want to be lying on the said beach, but if you can get friends and family out there with drinks to help you take that in and maybe think about or invest in some kind of running flask, because not essential all the time, but in hot temperatures, it is a good idea to try and have something with you so you can keep that hydration level topped up as much as possible and try and be cool while you're sleeping as well. I think that always helps with making you feel a little bit better getting out in the morning if you've had a good night's sleep and you've kept it as cool as possible in the bedroom. Anything else to add, Tomo?
Yeah, I was going to say on that shower point, I would say it's always horrible getting into a cold shower. So if you start with the temperature a tepid, so it's comfortable to get in, I would always, in hot temperatures, end the shower on a cold shower. It's easier to end on a cold shower than start on one. And the other thing is, when it comes to running in heat, once you go over a certain line, it becomes not just difficult, pretty dangerous to kind of push the body too far beyond that. So I would say, if you're on a run and you feel you're close to kind of that temperature red line, you want to not get to it. So if that means stopping in the shade for a period of time, just to bring your heart rate and try and cool down as much as you can. You just don't want to get too far beyond it. It's almost just running sort of below that kind of temperature line, I would advise, rather than just going out and just trying to tough out an hour. Just if you need to stop every 20 minutes just to make certain you don't quite go over the edge, I would suggest that. But the big thing, like you said, with heat, there's a conditioning aspect to it. People, I know I have friends who live in very hot parts of Australia, and they have to almost train themselves up. And as British athletes, or a lot of people, they're kind of exposed to eat not often, every now and again. So there is an element of kind of having to condition yourself. But yeah. it's all good tips. But if there's anyone else
And the
out there
only
that's got
one
tips,
proviso I
please.
am going to add, because we have said, and we will get to at some point, a special pod talking about training through pregnancy. If you are pregnant and you're running in the hot temperatures, even more important that you keep your core temperature down. So you really pick those cool times, you make the runs shorter, and you stay hydrating. Please don't think there's an extra training effect when you're pregnant. First and foremost, make sure that baby's safe all the way through that. Right, moving on to the next question. This concerns the Boston Marathon, and it's from Jane Hamilton. Now, she has a qualifying time for the Boston Marathon 2026 with an 8-minute buffer. So she's hoping that she will get in. Fingers crossed for you, Jane. My question is, how hilly is it? Should I look at plans which specifically include hill training? I definitely don't specifically include that as a stay in an area in which it's likely that the flat piece of roads are not that often. I think that's what she's saying there. I'm starting to look at plans and was interested in what your experience was like and what your advice would be. Loving the podcast, by the way. It gets me through my long runs. Many thanks, Jane.
I think that's more to you there, Paula, because as someone, because hands up, I was on the start list for Boston as one of my last marathons of my career, and then I wasn't able to complete it, and I will do it. You're taking me around Boston, Paula, and you're going to help me through that race, but I think you're better suited to talk about the experience of Boston.
The one thing I will say is that it's the downhills you have to train, not the uphills. I absolutely thought during the race, even though I was running on a torn calf up Heartbreak, it wasn't that bad. It was a gradual climb, and it was a hill, and it did go on a little bit, but you can clearly see the top. You can focus on that. You can work towards it. I think so long as you've included gradual ones in there, you will be absolutely fine as far as the uphills are concerned. The one thing that I would advise is consistent downhill running, because it's very steep at the start, and that shocked me, even though I knew that it was going to be a steep downhill at the start. It shocked me how steep it was, and you have to train your body not to be braking with your quads the whole way, and just to kind of relax, let gravity help you out, and to go with it and not run too quickly, but not hold back too much either, and kind of find that sweet spot. So I think if you're able to do that and your body is used to being able to run down those hills, I think you will absolutely smash Boston, and you will love it. So keep in mind that those hills are coming. Relax on the downhills, but don't fight them. Just let them help you out a little bit, and think of it as a little bit of time in the bank for that, and definitely get used to that impact down there. And good luck.
I'll have to, when I do it, I'll have to you have to help me through it, and we'll document me doing Boston at some point. I really want Boston's one of those ones, 'cause it's the oldest marathon ever, isn't it? 100 and what? How many years? 125?
I think I don't know. Actually, you're going to have to. I think we are. Yeah, we are going into the 1800s, so it might be even more than that by now.
Crikey, yeah. Do you know what?
I think you're going to have a look at it.
I'm going to look at Boston. Oh wow! Oh gosh. So it's April the 19th, 1897.
Yeah.
So that's 128, 129, something like that. Is that? Am I doing that quick maths? Wow, that's incredible.
Good luck, Jane, and let us know how you get on.
Good luck. Yes, good luck. But again, I do think with a lot of these things, what's lovely about race experiences, no one experience is the same, and so let us know how you get on, how you felt it was. And little quirks around the race, but it's that's the beauty of marathon running, especially when you're running 26 miles. Right, the title is Toilet Anxiety. I can certainly relate to a lot of that. Hello, Paula and Chris. Love the podcast and so glad we have an extra episode each week. Thank you very much. We're very excited to interact and answer your questions. I'm training for the Royal Parks half. This is my first half marathon at 54, and I've come to running speed walking very late, but loving this new addition to my life. I have quite a lot of bowel and bladder medical issues from a very complicated childbirth 15 years ago. This left me with toilet anxiety, and I also can't train first thing in the morning due to how my body is first thing. Please can you let me know if there are toilets on the course and if it is frowned upon to use them during these events. When doing my longer training runs, I plan them so I pass a Costa, petrol station or Sainsbury's just so I know I can pop it in if I need to. Any helpful advice gratefully received. Thank you so much for all the advice, Julia.
Yeah, I mean, I think you will find, Julia, it is a very, very common anxiety for so many runners, particularly the marathon, because it is a longer time out there. It's inevitable that most of us at some point will need to go to the loo, and I can testify firsthand to this. You did used to have to climb over a barrier, get off the course and find the portaloos. Now, they are regularly on the course, and it's totally acceptable for you to use those along. I would kind of look ahead as you're coming up to them, because some of them will have longer queues than others, and it might be worth trying to factor that in so you're not spending time waiting in that line to be able to use the Portaloo. But absolutely, it is totally acceptable to be able to do that. It is something to factor in to your warm-up as well, I think, or to more when you're waiting, when you're going into your pens, trying to kind of time that around what would be normal for you. Things like trying to eat at a regular time, particularly the evening before your long run, and keep that to a regular time that works for you. That can also help. And as you've said, just planning your route so that you know that there are certain points along there where, should you need to, you are able to stop. And just trying to keep your diet as regular as possible and work with those issues. But most of all, not to stress about it. The worst thing you can do is stress about it. That's why you're doing absolutely the right thing. Asking this question, totally acceptable to use that. You will find usually about every 5K in the major marathons, aren't they, Tomo? And you can actually ask the organisers beforehand where those Portaloo lines will be along the course, and that will help to set your mind at rest too.
Yeah, you've already said about looking ahead of time, roughly where toilets are on the course, because most good events will have that. I think when you mention queues, something I always notice is that obviously the start line has the biggest queues, because generally speaking, people, the first thing they get there is they think toilet, and they also think, I want to empty things out before I go. Sometimes a bit of a tip is I maybe go a bit further up the course where the queues aren't so long. It means you do have to kind of go out and back, or even potentially get dropped off 2 miles from the start to the quiet toilets and then walk the rest of the way to the start line. I've done that a few times. Thank you very much. Yeah, because again, it's like the cute. Like I say, now everyone's going to be at the 2 mile toilets now, aren't they? But it is something you do. It is logical that the queues will be at the pinch points are going to be around the start line, and generally events, especially your big events, they have so many Portaloos, but you almost can't have enough because the number of people, the sheer volume of people. So, especially. The other one I would say is the time you turn up. If you turn up half an hour before a start line, then it's going to be nigh on just crazy kind of queues. So turning up extra early can be helpful before the real crowds turn up for the toilets, and just looking maybe slightly further down would be my two.
And I think a lot of times I've seen that particularly when they hold you in the pens for a long time, just waiting for that first toilet a couple of miles up the course is a great way, because it's not going to be super busy that early, but you will be able to just get in there and carry on with your run. Just reminds me of the first time that I ran the London Marathon, and there the elite athletes are totally spoiled. So you're able to use a toilet, which is just in the elite warm-up area, and then go across to the start. It was one of the years where they were having a minute's silence, and I was late for the minute silence, very nearly, not quite, but very nearly, because I was trying to time my last toilet as close as possible to the start of the race. And they were so nervous the next year when there was also a minute silence that they actually pointed out to me a Portaloo right beside the course. And they said, right, that's for you, because we know you're going to go right before you start the race. So that one's for you, so you're not late for the minute silence.
The Portaloo.
Well, I think other elites were allowed to use it, but they'd moved it closer because I was sprinting across the grass to get into position for the minute silence. But I did make it. I wasn't late. I'd very much on time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When you're in that mindset before a race, you kind of you're so focused on trying to do, you can miss like little things like that.
Other tip, and this might be a little bit out there, but the other tip that I've given people is actually take a child's nappy to the start line and a plastic bag to put in the bin. Because if you really are stuck and you really do need to pee before the race gets going and it's a massive long queue, That actually works. If you can train your brain to do that, that does actually work.
No, that's, I think,
You can see the cogs turning there, Tomo.
no. Do you know what? As someone who has, as in me, as someone who has pooed himself in a race and in a session, like my kind of, yeah, that anxiety around those things, you kind of you do can get caught, and so anything to help make the situation better is worth it. And so yeah, no, I can, maybe that's the new thing, like running nappies. I don't know if that's the right
Well,
word.
yeah,
But
no, not running with it, but I mean, because they do have things like shiwis,
no,
don't they,
but
and
you
things
know what I
like that
mean.
you can use. But this is just another way. If the queue is massive, that you can be able to go and just all you need to find is a bin.
There's the running nappies, like again,
Yeah.
the ones that you can just rip off, like, or even like a running cup or something that you can.
I
There's a
don't know. There you go. You might be onto something.
cogs are
new there,
turning,
Tom.
cogs are turning.
But
Cogs are
yeah,
turning.
absolutely.
One
Don't
more?
worry, Julia. Yeah, one
Oh,
more.
sorry.
Time for one more. Go on then.
So yeah, thank you, Julia, and yeah, hopefully that some of those tips helps. One more quickly, Paul. Is it you reading it? Sorry, it's you're reading it, Paula. I did the last one. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
taking your thunder.
It's okay. So it's from, I'd forgotten as well. Paul Hogland. Hi, Paula and Chris. Is there anything that you can do along with your French athlete friends in college to convince the French government to allow parkrun to recommence in France? It was always popular, but since the introduction of the mandatory health check for public events, it seems such a backward step in encouraging people to keep active, even by running, jogging, or walking a 5K on a Saturday morning in a purely social event space. Also, I'm sure Paula has Sydney Marathon in her 2026 sights. Nope. But we've talked about Chris is going to take one for the team there. Loving your pod and loving you and Thomas's interview. Run for fun equals a healthy mental state. And that's from Paul Hogland. So just quickly to clarify, what it is in France is they ask for you to have had certain health checks, particularly like an ECG recently, before you can sign up for mass events. And that has put a bit of a break, if you like, on the events like parkrun. I think they are relaxing that right now at the moment, Paul, so it might be a way that they can get back into that. Maybe we'll start a run club, shall we, Tom? Let's just start a run club and then we can rival parkrun and get out there and just join people together. It is something that I was chatting with Mo when we were in the Pyrenees. I said, I'd love to just get a group of people out and just be able to do a run club around some of those trails. So yeah, we'll work on it. We'll work on that to be able to make that happen, Paul, and I'll do a bit of research and come back next week with maybe a bit more of an answer on that one.
We need someone who can speak French.
Oh no. If we knew someone, it'd be fine, wouldn't it? Or had
That
some
was your
contacts in
opportunity.
France.
That was your opportunity to reply in French.
Okay.
Go on, Paula. Give us.
What was the question?
Well, we need someone who can speak French. Can we
Okay.
think of anyone?
Ouais.
Go.
Moi, je peux et je vais essayer de faire quelque chose avant la semaine prochaine.
D'accord.
Okay.
All I can do. But no, well, this is the thing. My only point is that I totally agree. Like, empower the athlete, empower the person to kind of make their own decisions, and running, for me, is one of those brilliant things that, yes, we have to be respectful of the challenge, and we always say that when it comes to marathon, be respectful of where you're coming from and where you're trying to get to, and what the challenge that, like I say, the marathon being what it is. But let's not, careful of my language, but it's not about fearing people, it's about understanding and empowering them to do more. So I think, get the parkrun back, purely because I think it's a fantastic entry into into that healthy mental and physical well-being that should be encouraged, not making barriers to people. So I think, let's get Paula to sit down with Macron and change the world. We
had Trump on a couple of months ago, didn't we? So maybe we'll get Macron on this time,
Trump?
See if he wants to fancy a run. No, I mean, I had a photo of me with Trump. So
oh, sorry, right. I was
I'll
going to say, I missed that one.
Next time Macron's out there doing a bit of canoeing, and I'll see if he wants to get on the running one. But
yeah, if he's probably
I think
listening.
I'm going to be have a little bit more luck with either Princess Charlene or Prince Albert on that one. But we will try and get these social runs. Certainly get an elbow in there for social runs. I think you'll find they do happen in France, but it's typically French in terms of it's not a big organised, it doesn't have a name on it. It just happens somewhere and people will get together, and in the same way as you do around the world, there will be social groups that will go out running.
This has been good.
Right, this has, and that is
lovely.
about
Thank
it,
you.
I'm afraid, for this listener interaction this week. Please don't forget that we do still have that NordVPN offer running for you. You do get the 4 months extra free, you get that privacy protection, you get to watch all of those shows, and you can work out what Destination X is that Tomo was on about earlier on the episode that dropped on Monday. And please don't forget to keep sending in these questions. So just one more time, that link is nordvpn.com/Paula's Run Club, and that email address is paulasrunclub@momentumbroadcast.co.uk. The text +44 7564 747 914, and on socials @Paula's Run Club. You can watch the full episodes on YouTube. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and they have both been Momentum Broadcast Productions, and thank you for being a part of our running club.
Thank you very much. Speak to you next week, guys.